Little Mix and No More Sad Songs. Now we're discussing how we pronounce Duncan's name. I've been saying McKenchley all morning, but come on, Duncan.
It's McKechnie.
Oh, hang on.
It's McKechnie, Steve.
McKechnie. And is it Scottish then?
It is, yeah. Duncan McKechnie. You can't get more Scots than that.
Have you got your own tartan?
We have.
Yeah, there we are. You're not wearing it this morning, I hasten to add. It's just a little bit chilly, actually.
It is, indeed.
Anyway, Duncan, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, you've got a fantastic accent because you've got a South African accent because you were in South Africa for some years.
I was indeed, but I'm an Essex lad by birth, Chelmsford, but moved over when I was 5 and grew up in South Africa, in Pretoria, up in the north.
And you were in the Air Force.
I was, yeah. I after school, my dream was I never went through the fireman policeman. I always wanted to be a helicopter pilot, and I joined the South African Air Force in the early 80s and lived my dream for 24 years. It was brilliant.
Fantastic. Now that actually brought you back to the UK because you got involved with Augusta Westland Augusta in Italy.
That's right.
Then they said, oh, funnily enough, we've just sort of done a deal in the UK.
UK, yeah.
With Westlands here, and you got sent over here.
That's it. I left the Air Force in 06 and moved to Italy and spent a year there. And then there was an opening over here in Yeovil, which I sort of came back to my roots. And that was sort of some 35 odd years later, which is wonderful.
And you're now living in the Ilminster area?
In Barrington Court, in fact, on the National Trust property, which is beautiful.
Yes, I know somebody else who lives there as well.
Oh, wow.
You might know. Do you know Fiona Honan?
I know the name. I already know the name.
There we are. Well, it's a small world.
Isn't it just?
They say you're only, and you actually notice this when you do LinkedIn for one, it's amazing how close you are to almost everybody. You're almost within 2 sort of contacts of everybody on there, aren't you?
It's crazy, yeah, it is. It just shows you the world is such a tiny place, yeah.
So what you're doing now is you've branched out and you're now in business with yourself, and you've actually bought yourself a franchise with a company that sends you out to coach other businesses. It's a business coaching company.
That's right. Yeah. See, it's called Action Coach, and it's about, Somerset has been so fantastic to Rena and my wife and myself in accepting us in, and it's time to go and give something back to it. And if I can do so by helping businesses, especially during this time, I mean, goodness gracious me, if I'd said to you in February, in the beginning of August, we'll all be working at home and wearing masks, and you think I'm barking mad. So it's incredibly fulfilling to go and do that type of thing and help.
So what do you have to do when you go to a business or a business gets in touch with you? How can you help them?
In a multitude of different ways. It depends on where they are and whether they're struggling or whether they're pretty strong and want to grow. But mostly what happens is an empathetic ear and being able to sort of stand back and not be emotionally involved. And there's so many businesses, they say, oh, I knew that, I just didn't know how to implement it, or I didn't realize it worked with that. And what we also find is the first thing, and I do with you, is your goals and aspirations. You went into business you didn't go into business to work 100 hours a week and earn less than you did when you were employed, but you went in for you had a dream, you had an aspiration, and it's so important to get into touch with that again, and then make sure that the business can actually support that dream and aspiration. That's why you went into it in the first place. And
it's not always just the paycheck at the end of the week, is it? It's more than that. And this is where you get people to look into this and what they really do want out of life. It might be a big car, but it might be a luxury holiday.
That's exactly it. It's we all have different passions. We have different reasons for going into that. It's incredibly exciting. Love it.
So when you first go along to somewhere, do they normally get in touch with you, or do you proactively go out and promote yourself? We're
doing a bit of both at the moment, of going various ways through LinkedIn and Facebook and websites, and in fact today I'm going to be posting a whole bunch of postcards, which to various companies, just to say, hi, we're around. Please get in touch with us, and I'll get in touch with you. So websites there. Do businesses specifically know where they're going wrong or where they need help? Or do they say, look, we're doing okay, but we want to do better?
Is there anything you can do to help with this?
I think it's a combination of a lot. There are some businesses that realise, do you know what, I'm stuck here. There's an actor that I need. Some, especially at this moment in time, are just so desperate. Oh, my goodness gracious me! I don't know what's going on. But I think what is interesting and what is very important to note is I'm a coach. I'm not a consultant. I'm a coach. So if a man's hungry, you give a man or a lady a fish, and they'll feed them for a day. But if you really want to feed them for a lifetime, you teach them how to fish. And that, in essence, is what coaching is about. You didn't see Sir Clive Woodward on the field, as though sometimes with the England team, okay, maybe not back in 2003, he would have liked to be, but he pushed them. When they wanted to and said, actually, it's time for a shower. I'm quite tired now. He was the guy who said, no, another half an hour. Come on, let's go. And that's what a business coach does, is it helps you find out where the best, maybe it's staring you in the face.
Do you think the average British person is that sort of person that says, I really need to take a break now? And how do you encourage them to stop taking that break and maybe carry on for that extra half an hour?
I don't think the average British person is that way inclined at all. In fact, the other way is actually, do you know what? Stop. 100 hours, because that's the converse on the side of the things is work-life balance. There's a beautiful, I don't know if you've seen it, Steve, on a video on YouTube where this American, and a lot of people do it, but he's a lecturer, and he comes in with a jar. And he fills the jar up. The jar's quite big, so probably about 5 litres or so. And fills it up with golf balls and says to people, in his class, is this full? And they say, well, yes. Then he takes a whole bunch of marbles and he fills it. Says, is it full now? And they say, yes. Is it right? And he pours sand in and shakes it around. He says, is it full now? And they say, yes. And he opens up, funny enough, 2 Corona beers. And he pours it in. And he says, is it full now? And they say, yes. He said, well, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is, if you put the sand in first, you wouldn't be able to get the golf balls in. Now, the golf balls are those important things in your life, your family, your friends, yourself, your health. The pebbles are your business and your car. The sand is the other trivia. And the beer is there to always remind you there's always time to have a beer with family and friends. and that is the most difficult thing of the British people. Work too hard. You need to have that. And that's what I do as a coach.
And not just the British, because my girlfriend's from Latvia, and she was brought up in communist Latvia. And she would just work every hour of the day if the work was there. And she needs to be taught that, look, really, it is sort of 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. You've been there since 7 o'clock in the morning. You really need to go home. But it's very difficult to get that across to some people, isn't it?
It is. And everybody say, well, Duncan, I don't have time to talk to you. No, well, do you know what? If I can just get you to have 1 hour with me, we'll put things in place about time management. People say, I don't have enough time. There is plenty of time. There's 24 hours a day, every day. It's just how you manage it, how you prioritize the things. And you often find that you're working on things that, A, you could either give to somebody else, or actually is so trivial and so unimportant. Put it aside.
What made you go into this?
I've always been passionate. I've never had my own children. And when I always kicked against becoming a flight instructor, and when I had my first students, I got them from out of school, and it was so incredibly emotional to see them qualify and get presented with their wings and know I had something in that, and I loved it. And since then, through my corporate life, I've always found mentoring people was incredibly fulfilling, helping people. Your success, if I can help you succeed, I don't think there's a greater feeling on the planet. You know what it's like with your children, helping them to walk, take their first steps. And to help a company get through, one of my clients had just said to me, Duncan, thank God you were there. That to me is more satisfying than anything else in the world.
So and you don't mind seeing that happen?
Oh,
because some people
it.
would say, oh, blimey,
no.
I gave them all that help sort of thing, and look how they're doing now,
no.
and I'm still struggling.
You succeed, I succeed, and that's what it's all about. It's I was saying to you, my aim and mission is to be able to touch 10,000 businesses in the Southwest in the next 10 years. If I could just help one little bit, because that's how we're going to succeed here in Somerset. It's us that is going to get the economy back going. It's the small businesses, not the big corporates from London. And we need to help each other. And if I can be part of that, wow.
If people are interested in what we've talked about this morning, I'm sure there will be some interest out there. How can people get in touch with you?
Probably the easiest is my website, and it's very easy. Action Coach Ilminster. If you just Google Action Coach, action, because it's not procrastination, it's Action Coach Ilminster. Just Google that, and all my contact details on it.
We'll actually see if we can put something on our Facebook page before you disappear in a minute.
Oh, that would be wonderful, Steve. Thank you.
A real pleasure to talk to you today. Now, we got hold of you via James, who comes in and talks about employment and that sort of thing.
That's
so
right.
spread the word, and we'll see if we can get some more interesting people like you in very, very soon.
I will do indeed. Thank you very much, Steve.
Nice to talk to you.